Hello, everybody, and welcome to the virtual information session for paralegal certificate at the University of Miami. It is 6 o'clock. We're going to wait just a couple of more minutes for allowing everyone to be able to join us, and we'll definitely start sharp like around 6:05. Thank you. For those of you that just joined us, we are waiting just a couple of more minutes for everyone to be able to come in, and then we'll be able to start the presentation. Thank you for your patience. Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to our virtual information session. My name is JC Garcia. I am the enrollment manager here at the University of Miami, and I'll be the host for today's info session about the paralegal certificate program that we offer here at the University of Miami. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, let me tell you a little bit about what's going to be happening today. The information session will be about 60 minutes. It's about an hour. The recording will be available after the session. As you probably saw before you join in, you do have to accept the fact that this was going to be recorded. And please submit your questions using the Q&A feature, and we will answer them at the end of the presentation. So again, you do not have to wait in order for you to submit your questions. However, we will have to hold on and answering those questions until the end of the presentation. That said, we invite you to connect with us. We are definitely in Twitter, Facebook, we are in Instagram, and of course, LinkedIn. So I will definitely encourage for you to take a picture of this site and join us. We'll be more than happy to send more information to you your way. Now, this I will be reading. Basically, this is about us. The Division of Continuing International Education at the University of Miami aims to empower people to reach their full potential through lifelong and life-wide learning. With more than 70 credit and non-credit programs, the division creates continuous learning experiences that transform individuals, organizations, and entire communities. To learn more about the programs, please visit our website, which is very simple, dcie.miami.edu. And DCIE, just in case you're wondering, it stands for the Division of Continuing International Education. So again, dcie.miami.edu. So what will be discussed today? What are we doing here today? Well, we're definitely going to talk about the financial and employment outlook for the paralegal profession. We'll talk about details about the key features and areas of focus of the University of Miami Paralegal Certificate Program. What is it that we have to offer you here at UM? We'll review the application-based focus of the program, the experience, the interactive study support provided to enhance and reinforce learning throughout the program. And lastly, we'll examine the connections between the program learning and career readiness to embark on a variety of legal and professional career paths. Now, this is going to be the program lead. Her name is Dr. Tammy Clearfield. And let me read a little bit about her. Dr. Tammy Clearfield is a practicing attorney who has instructed paralegals for over 2 decades. Dr. Clearfield taught various online and on-ground courses in law, criminal justice, paralegal studies, business and human resources at the undergraduate, graduate, associate, and certificate levels. She has taught CLE seminars in the area of family law and has been a panelist in the areas of family law, dispute resolution, and law practice success. Dr. Clearfield was admitted to the Florida Bar in September of 1995, and is also admitted to practice before the Southern District in the U.S. District Court and the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. Dr. Clearfield graduated with honors with her BA degree from Florida Atlantic University and her MS degree from Florida International University. She earned her JD degree from the UM School of Law and graduated with honors with her PhD degree in conflict analysis and resolution from Nova Southeastern University. Dr. Clearfield is a board member of the Citizens Crime Watch of Miami-Dade Executive Committee. She has been recognized for her teaching's excellence and commitment to higher education with multiple awards. With that said, I would like to introduce you and let her take over. Dr. Clearfield, thank you very much for being here with us.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the University of Miami's Paralegal Certificate Program Information Session. I am really thrilled to be here talking to you about this program, and you should all congratulate yourselves for participating in this information session and taking the first step towards potentially advancing your career in the legal field and looking to become a paralegal. It's an amazing profession. You are beyond integral to what us lawyers do on a daily basis. It's a fun profession in that no 2 days are ever the same in your life, and a solid foundation academically taught by stellar instructors who are not only professionally accomplished, but understand the scope and responsibilities and value added of a paralegal is central to job satisfaction and career growth and career acceleration. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. So welcome to the virtual paralegal zone. We fully believe that learning should be engaging, interactive, fun, impactful, meaningful, and reachable. And all of those things are packaged up together in the University of Miami's Paralegal Certificate Program information session. So as I said, welcome to the virtual paralegal zone. All kinds of really neat things happen here. So we basically took classroom experience, workplace experience, and technology and bundled it all up into the virtual paralegal zone. So we believe, and this program is structured around the concept of preparing paralegals to work in a variety of industries. Not everybody comes to the University of Miami's paralegal program with the same academic background or the same career goals or the same abilities. Some are already working in the legal profession and want to advance. Some are straight out of high school and are really interested in becoming a paralegal. Some are wanting to go to law school one day and really want a solid foundation. Some are career changers later in life with a really great foundation that bridges and complements working as a paralegal. Some are lawyers from other countries who came over here and want to learn more about the legal system here. This program is a great fit for every single one of those people that I just rattled off, and then some. It's designed to keep those who have a base knowledge engaged and to give those who don't have that base knowledge that solid foundation as a building block approach to ensure everybody's success when you leave our virtual doors and enter the paralegal profession. Our instructors are top-notch. They're judges, seasoned lawyers in the community, and they're not only highly accomplished, as I mentioned, they're committed to the paralegal profession, and they're really great teachers. They're reachable to you, they understand the material, they understand how to teach it, and they've been with the university for many, many, many years. So paralegals are integral members of the legal team. When my paralegal says the word vacation, I'm like, oh, please no. Because I already know that that week or two in my life is going to be not so fun, because she literally is my end all be all, and I lean on her for everything within ethical parameters. So it's very important that you understand that there are ethical parameters associated with this profession, and it's something that we emphasize throughout all of your learning to make sure that you understand where the parameters are regarding what you are able and are not able to do in your capacity as a paralegals. Paralegals conduct interviews, they investigate case details, they participate in the discovery process, draft pleadings, briefs, motions, lay out legal arguments, analyze case documents, case details, do legal research, legal analysis, tie it all together in a really great brief or an appellate brief, or it could be a trial brief, or it could be a memorandum of law in support of a complex legal issue at the motion level. It could be any of those areas. The more skills you show, the more interesting your responsibilities become, because the more you get to dig into your legal work in terms of tasks. So the idea behind this program is building block and approach. We assume, just like you can't put a roof on a house without a foundation, we take that same approach to learning about the law. You need to understand the language of the law. It's very different from the language that we speak every day. Words, context, meaning, utilization. So some of those foundational areas are really important to set you up for success as that house foundation to build upon that. So we build by teaching, you build by doing, you demonstrate your skills, and at the finish line, you've got an amazing e-portfolio that you're able to share with potential employers in digital format and update even when you're out of our program, as you continue to build your accomplishments. So we give you the opportunity to showcase those accomplishments, and we also give you skills that are very important in the legal community. For example, Lexis and Westlaw are our only two real-time legal research databases. What that means is as our higher courts are making decisions, those decisions are hot off the press in Lexis and Westlaw. So you will learn not only Lexis, but Westlaw as well, because firms tend to either use Lexis or use Westlaw, but not use both because they're expensive, and you don't need both. They accomplish the same purpose. But you as a paralegal need to know both because you never know what's going to be asked by your employer. So we give you your own unique usernames and passwords. You practice your skill sets, and for your ePortfolio, you demonstrate your proficiencies in both of those areas with certificates that you will earn from your legal research learning from Lexis and Westlaw that will be issued to you and included in that electronic portfolio. So we'll talk a bit more about that as we dig into some of the material. So skill sets are developed in those core areas that I just shared in the foundations aspect of the program. So you spend your first block of time learning those core skills. And something else that's a really big differentiator in the University of Miami's program is the exposure you get from a paralegal lens to the substantive areas of law. So there's lots and lots of different areas of law that you might find yourself pursuing in a career context. You could transition between areas of law. You want to understand some of the key paralegal functions and terminology in each of those areas of law, which is why our material in ebook format was written specifically from that paralegal lens for what's important for you to know in 14 substantive areas of law. So as you transition from those foundational skills into the substantive areas of law, you will have ebook chapters specific to each of those areas of law to learn paralegal terminology, paralegal roles, responsibilities, and some of the core foundational areas of law. Again, written specifically from the lens of a paralegal for what's important for you to know. You will also demonstrate basic knowledge of each of those areas, which will really help to make you very marketable from an ePortfolio perspective, because you can showcase knowledge across all of those different areas of law, in addition to showcasing more complex knowledge with those foundational skills that we talked about. And we'll talk about how you progress through those assignments in just a bit. So let's dig a bit more into the virtual paralegal zone and talk a bit more about some of the areas I just shared with you as we learn more about the university's program. Next slide, please. Okay, so what you see on your screen now is the learning that's progressive building block and format for foundations. You learn about the paralegal profession, role, the legal system, the civil versus criminal, and state versus federal, including from the vantage point of where you are, which may or may not be Florida, and that's okay. Terminology, which is that language of the law that we talked about, case screening, information gathering, and client interviews. You'll start talking about ethics there as well, because that's embedded in that first step of the process. Technology, software, calendaring, billing, pre-formal and informal settlement negotiations. The majority of our cases settle pre-filing. So you really need to understand what occurs there, what the parameters are, and how it works. Court structure, rule navigation. Everything we do is procedural. You need to learn how to navigate those procedural rules. So primarily civil, criminal, and evidence. Those are the main buckets of rules that you'll be navigating through. You'll learn legal research, as I mentioned, Lexis and Westlaw. You'll learn how we cite in law. Everybody cringes at APA and MLA. In law, we have Blue Book format. You will learn how to cite properly in law with different tools and resources to help you to do so. Electronic legal research, which is the Lexis and Westlaw. Legal citations, which is that Blue Book format I just spoke about. You will transition to the litigation posture, assuming that our case hasn't settled, start doing some case prep, learn about lawsuit initiation, causes of action, strategies, and e-filing, how to respond to litigation, discovery, which is the majority of the work in a trial setting. It's information gathering, discovery to parties, those are the litigants, discovery to non-parties, those are the third parties who have information to share with us about the proceeding. ADR, which is alternate dispute resolution, pre-trial, readiness for trial, and calendaring. Lots of important dates in those pre-trial orders. You all think we know how to count? Well, guess what? Not even lawyers know how to count, because sometimes a weekend is included, sometimes it's not, sometimes the holiday pushes things out. So we have to understand how to read the rules and how to count, because there's things that we need to do at the finish line and things we need to do a bit before. And if we miss those deadlines, it can create big problems for the case. So definitely important to learn calendaring. Trial briefs, post-judgment and appeals, and then of course the all-important job search and resume writing with lots of great tools to help you there. What you see on the right side of your screen are those 14 substantive areas of law I shared with you you'd be learning about: torts, contracts, business, real estate, foreclosure, eviction, bankruptcy, elder, healthcare, wills, trusts, estates, family, employment, workers' comp, immigration, criminal, and criminal procedure. What's really neat about the law blocks is you will be assigned, for foundations, you will all be assigned a client from your supervising attorney in the virtual paralegal zone, and you will be given information about that individual's potential litigation, potential claims. You'll work that client through your foundations block of your program, and then you'll also be assigned 4 more clients. And what's neat about that is that the scenarios for the law blocks for your clients tie together towards contracts and business. So one person will have a potential legal situation that involves all 3 of those areas of law. Same with law block 2, real estate, foreclosure, eviction, and bankruptcy. Same thing with law block 3 and law block 4. So the way those areas of law for the substantives are grouped is intentional, because it's the most common overlap that you'll see when a client comes to the office with a potential legal claim. So we put you in that situation as you learn through that paralegal lens about those different areas of law, and you do those base application-based skill demonstrations that you'll be putting in your e-portfolio. Next slide, please. So what you see here on your screen are a whole bunch of icons. The idea behind the virtual paralegal zone is learning reinforcement. So anytime you see those icons utilized in your ebook and throughout your learning resource, you know that you're seeing something that you learned in other places. So it basically anchors those key areas together to tie in your learning and give you a visual reference for those areas that are important to you in terms of what you're learning as a paralegal student. Next slide, please. So again, welcome to the virtual paralegal zone. It's fun, it's interactive, there's really great resources, lots of study tools, supplemental materials, and virtual skills centers to support you in your learning. It's accessible to you 24/7. It's where you'll find your ebook. It's where you'll find your clients assigned to you through your supervising attorney. It's where you'll take your exams. It's where you'll enter all of the different labs. So it's one central location for you to build that knowledge base that we just spoke about. Next slide, please. So welcome to your virtual paralegal office. There you will find your e-chapters, which are those chapters that we just reviewed you would be learning about through your foundations portion of the program and your law blocks. You have all of the PowerPoints that you will receive as part of your learning that your instructors will go over in the class blocks. Same thing for foundations and for law blocks. So you'll have reference to all of that material that you can access directly through your virtual paralegal office. Next slide, please. This is an example of what you'll see in your ebook and how it's laid out. It's very clean. It's very easy to navigate. You can expand, print, save, search, all of those really neat things. There's also embedded links for supplemental material. So it's a really great tool to learn from. Next slide, please. Welcome to your virtual conference room. This is where you will be assigned your supervising attorney. Everybody in class has a different supervising attorney. Those supervising attorneys will give you your client assignments. And in those client assignments are lots of great templates to get you started. We are aware that you're learning. We don't expect you to fend for yourself. We give you all of the tools necessary to set you up for success in this learning process. And the templates are just one of many of those different tools to empower you to maximize your learning. Next slide, please. So what you see here is an example of, on the left-hand side, and it's probably too small to read, at least it is for me, you'll see all of the different supervising attorney names. Those are the different supervising attorneys that you could be assigned to. The assignments come in the form of an announcement at least a week before you need them. You'll go in, you'll take a look at your supervising attorney's client files, which you see in the top left slide as well. Each one of those images has a scenario. On the bigger picture in front of us is Susie Stevenson. You'll see 12 different assignments there. Those are all of those skill building progressive assignments you'll be doing in your skill building portion of the program. We start with a preliminary intake, we transition to a demand letter, then we learn about legal analysis, which is the foundation for writing those more complex memos of law. Then you learn your legal research and demonstrate your Westlaw and Lexis proficiencies. We do a second interview to gather additional information. Then we transition to the litigation stage with the summons and complaint, work on some discovery drafting, some more discovery drafting, then a more complex motion, because at this point you've learned more complex skills. And that brief assignment is not brief. This is one of those legal terminology words. It's the more complex demonstration of your ability to do legal reasoning, utilizing your own research. It's fun, it's challenging, and it's a great way to showcase your abilities in your e-portfolio. This program has an amazing reputation in the legal community because lawyers know the value when they see an e-portfolio that contains all of this, along with all of those demonstrated skills in those substantive areas of law. We know what we're getting when we hire University of Miami paralegal program graduates, which is why so many lawyers in the community come to the university and ask us to circulate job announcements for our graduates, because they know how well prepared they are to exit our doors and enter theirs and be able to hit the ground running as productive members of the legal team. Basically, we in the legal community equate this level of skill to about 2 years of on-the-job experience. So sometimes we get the question of, well, what if I have no legal experience? How do I get my foot in the door? Lots of different ways. One is your e-portfolio demonstrating these skills. Another might be asking if you can intern in a law office to get some skills and some direct experience and to showcase what you've learned as you're learning it. So lots of great ways that this e-portfolio really is your virtual ticket to open lots of amazing doors for you. Next slide, please. So I just shared with you a lot of what you see on the screen right now. Those are those foundational skill building assignments. And as I mentioned before, you have your one main client for foundations, and then you have your 4 law block clients that tie together those different areas of law. Next slide, please. What you see on the screen is the way you get your assignments, kind of like I do it, even though my paralegal is right outside my door, I send her an email because it's just the way we seem to communicate in this world these days. So it's very common that you would be asked to do something by email. So that's the way you get your assignments here. And they direct you to your client file within your supervising attorney. And on the previous screen, all of those LinkedIn Word documents on the right-hand side, those are all templates to get you started on your work. So as I mentioned earlier, we don't expect you to fend for yourself. You wouldn't do that with a new paralegal in your office, and we don't do it with you as a paralegal student. We give you the tools necessary to set you up for success. Next slide, please. So you also have all of the resources available to you at the click of a button. So the FAQs are commonly asked questions that we've encountered over the years that we've been running this program on the VPZ. The e-portfolio is the link with instructions on how to get yourself set up to start loading your documents. There's lots of practice questions for each chapter to set you up for success for the graded exams. The idea is not to trick you. The idea is to test your knowledge and make sure that you're learning the material. There is extensive web-based study support broken out by chapter. The Virtual Research Center gives you lots and lots of excellent resources to help you learn about Lexis and Westlaw. The Virtual Writing Center, the same, with tools to help you with your legal writing, and the Virtual Career Center as well to help you with your resume, job searches, and cover letters. Next slide, please. You will always be told what you'll learn, where you'll learn it, and what you learned after you learned it. So we believe in being very transparent by giving you the objectives for each chapter at the outset, kind of like how we started this info session, to make sure that we gave you the information about what we'd be covering today. It's very much how we approach the material in the VPZ. Next slide, please. These are just some examples of the way the study support is presented. So we'll go through these quickly just for visual reference. So this is just one of the pages of the web study support in one of the chapters. Next slide. Same thing here. You see the icon there. If you click on it, it will take you to an interactive glossary as you're learning more about legal terminology. That's one of the ways that we anchor, as I shared with you before. Next slide, please. This is a page from the interactive glossary. You can click on any of the letters. You'll see common terms that you'll be learning to go back to them for definition purposes. Next slide. This is an example of an interactive study tool where you're learning about criminal law and tasks and parameters. Ethics is embedded here as well. Next slide, please. This is another example of a study tool. And again, these are embedded throughout all of the different chapters. You spin the wheel, it lands on a word, you learn more about it. We got to make it fun. We got to make it engaging. We vary it a bit. And we account for all different learning styles because not everybody engages the same way. So you can pick and choose what you like the most and utilize those different pieces. Next slide, please. For the more complex area, and there's lots going on here in this visual. So here you're learning about law, substantive procedure, public and private sector, and the different spin-offs of each. Sometimes a visual reference for the more complex connections is really helpful. Every one of those areas is clickable for you to kind of get that visual and get that explanation context with the visual. Next slide, please. This is as well, one of the things that you'll be learning is how to read a statute. Statutes are codified laws. There are different pieces or components. We call those elements. In civil law, you have to prove each element by preponderance of the evidence, which is just more than 50%. In criminal, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, which is 99.9. You need to understand how to break that text out into pieces. So we take this statute, we break it out for you element by element with a visual, and then we take you to the finish line with that proof standard. These are just some examples of the way we step you through that building block learning for the more complicated areas of learning. Next slide, please. We also have scenarios embedded. You need to start learning how to think and how to react as a paralegal. We use those narrated vignettes for those things, and ethics, as I mentioned earlier, is one of those areas that we emphasize very heavily. Next slide, please. What you see here is an example of a template you would get. There's not only template content, but information on how to make edits to those templates to step you through it, kind of like your instructor outside the classroom to help to keep you going. Next slide, please. What you see here is an example of some of those additional study support materials that are available to you. Each one of those file cabinets opens and each one is loaded with lots of great additional resources. Next slide. I mentioned earlier about the Lexis and Westlaw resources. These are just examples of the screens that you'll see as you begin to navigate in each area. Next. And you can just keep clicking, JC, thank you. These are just examples that take you through Lexis and Westlaw. And at the finish line, this is what you'll see. Those are those proficiencies that I mentioned. So you'll watch a series of interactive videos and earn your certificates. And you'll be able to place those certificates which will be assigned to you, demonstrating your proficiencies in both Lexis and Westlaw into your e-portfolio. Next slide. As I mentioned, we also help to prepare you for your advancement in your career or entering of your new career, and we give you lots of great resources to help to teach you how to interview well, some of the key areas, some things that lawyers are looking for, what to do, how to dress, what to say, what not to say, what to do, how to time things, how to package yourself up to make you the most marketable possible. All of those areas are things that we cover in our virtual career center. Next slide, please. And as I mentioned, you compile everything in your e-portfolio that will demonstrate your proficiencies in your learning for your 5 virtual clients, your foundations, which is your more complex skills, and then your base skills in those substantive areas of law. Next. And in your finish line, as I mentioned, we're very transparent. We tell you what you're going to learn. We tell you as you learn it, and at the finish line, we reflect on what your takeaways are. So when you reach the finish line and leave our virtual doors and enter into your field to either start or advance, you will be able to say that you're proficient in applying ethics rules in the legal environment, navigating procedural rules for case management and compliance, conducting electronic legal research using Lexis and Westlaw, constructing legal analysis based on legal interpretation, drafting legal documents using legal technology, exploring key components of 14 substantive areas of law, and demonstrating fundamental and substantive specific skill sets associated with career readiness. Next slide, please. So for some, they're really interested in learning more about a particular area of law. We have concentrations which supplement the paralegal certificate program learning that are specific to different areas of law. You're eligible to pursue additional education in these areas after you successfully complete and earn your paralegal certificate. So these are just some of the areas where we have offerings in more advanced concentrations specific to learning those particular areas of law. Next slide, please. So a solid application-based paralegal education will open the door to a lot of opportunities in a field that's projected for growth over the next 7 years. Next. So if you look at the statistics and the need, and I'm not going to bore you with gobs of data on job growth, but what I will tell you is that you picked a great field with a really huge demand. And every time we have life events occur, like COVID and like the tragedy that was the recent hurricane, we see shifts in law and different trends and needs. So after COVID, we saw lots of increases in bankruptcy, increases in foreclosures, increases in estate planning, because people were like, oh, wow, I really need to make sure I get myself situated. So we saw trending shifts in those areas, and we'll see the same after IAM. Right. So when you see those things, the legal community reacts, and the quickest way to staff up when you have a volume increase is with really good paralegals. So when you see those things occur in our world, like milestone, transition, impactful things, good or bad, we see lots of growth in the legal community and a large demand for paralegals. Next slide, please. The wages are really good. They're really competitive. And again, it really depends on where you want to go with your career. If you want to go public sector, you're going to have really great benefits, solid wages, really good job security, but not like crazy 6-figure wages. If you want to work lots and lots of hours and really grow in advance, you'll want to go to a big firm where you'll see those 6-figure numbers after some years. Or you could pick a small firm or a medium-sized firm. You might also pick to go in-house for a company. There's lots and lots of great choices and different career directions that you can go in. Next slide, please. These are just some examples of income and comparisons in different industries and annual wages. So I would say on average, you won't get paid less than $40,000, which is pretty low. And you could go up as high as 60 or 70 right at the outset. And you can be well into the six figures later in your career. It's a really, really great profession. As I mentioned, it's not only, it's fun. And you touch people's lives in different ways every single day. And it's hard, it's stressful, it's emotional, it's impactful, it's rewarding, it's the entire gambit, but it's a really meaningful career choice and you're never stagnant. Next slide, please. So these are, again, just some of the projections, growth numbers, trends in the past that we use to predict the future. Next slide, please. So congratulations. You just spent the past 40 minutes with us learning more about really what sets the University of Miami's program apart from so many of the others out there in terms of our approach and preparing you to enter or advance in a really amazing profession. So I encourage each one of you to make the commitment to elevate your opportunities and leverage your knowledge. If this is the career for you, this is the program for you. And we're saying that because we believe it, not because it's the right thing to say. A certificate from the University of Miami's paralegal program means something in the legal community, and it doesn't only mean something in the legal community, it means something to each and every one of you because it means that you're well prepared in a career that is incredibly impactful. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to JC to give you some of the details about starts and costs, and then at the end, we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Tammy. That was amazing. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am pretty hyped. I mean, this is incredible, everything you told us about the program. So now let's talk about how to get enrolled and what's happening. So basically, just so you guys know, we do have two programs. Both of them are going to be fully online. Let's start with that. They're both going to have the same curriculum. They're both going to have the same professors. They're both going to have the same start date. They're both going to have the same cost. But what is different between the two is basically the modality, the teaching modality of the program. We have one, which is what we call the live online. This will be starting October 17. It will end on February. The program, again, will last 4 months, but this one's with a live instructor. So you will be online with a live instructor on Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. And the classes will be held using Zoom. The other program that we have, again, fully online as well, is what we call self-paced. And basically what this means is that you go to school during your time, whatever is the best time for you to be able to sit down and study. However, keep in mind that you will have deadlines for assignments and quizzes, but when do you sit down to study for that is completely up to you. This program, again, will be starting on the same date. It will finish on the same date, fully online, and that's what we mean by classes are flexible. That basically is around your time, whatever is the best time for you to be able to sit down. We also offer the concentration, which Tammy was talking about that. As of right now, October 17, the program, by the way, lasts only 2 months. And these are the 5 different concentrations that we're going to be having for October 17. Immigration law, wills and trust, family law, intellectual property law, real estate law, and employment law, among others. So basically, these are the ones that if you go to the website, you will be able to see the registration open for those programs.
JC, can I add one thing?
Absolutely.
So yes. I also want to let everybody know that one of the main differences between the live and the online self-paced, as JC mentioned, is the live does have the live lectures from one of your instructors, but the online self-paced program has the same material covered with pre-recorded lectures. So you do still have that lecture component for online, but you have it at your own pace. And if a student does prefer that live classroom interaction, and for example, has to be out of town for a week, those lectures from your live instructor are also recorded and the recordings are posted for you as well. So we want to make sure that you realize that, as JC mentioned, the curriculum is the same, the modality is different, but even if you opt for online self-paced, you still do have the recorded lectures based on those PowerPoints.
Excellent. Thank you, Tam. The cost. So again, the cost will be the same. exactly the same thing for the live online, for the online self-paced, which is $69.95. The area concentration only lasts 2 months. It is a lot cheaper. It's $29.95. And in order for you to, like, where do I go to register JC? Well, this is the website, which is very simple to remember. It's continue.miami.edu/paralegal. So continue because it's like continue education. Just remember that. And of course, the website for the university is miami.edu. And of course, the program that you want to study is paralegal, so /paralegal. Now, there's 3 different ways for you to be able to pay for a program. Again, the cost is $69.95. You could pay in full from the onset, from the get-go. A lot of people do that, but you really don't have to do that if you don't want to. You could actually set up a payment plan if you like. So you could pay little by little in a monthly basis, or you could even get a private educational loan in order for you to be able to pay for the program as well. And keep in mind that everything will be included in the cost of the program, like the books, materials, access to databases, everything will be given to you. You do not have to purchase anything else. Now, at this point in time, again, I would like to introduce myself like I did at the beginning. My name is J.C. Garcia. I will be the contact person for this program. That is my direct number. And please, 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 I do spend a lot of time on the phone. So if you do call me, leave me a voicemail. I promise you that I will return your phone call. And of course, this is my email. Sometimes I get to see the emails a little bit quicker than listening to the voicemail because I'm working the computer. It's right in front of me. So if you want to send me an email, by all means, I'll leave this on for a little bit. So you can write down my email, which is jxg1870@miami.edu. So once again, jxg1870@miami.edu. And the number, of course, is right there, 305-284-8841. Once again, 305-284-8841. My name is JC. And at this point in time, I would like to reiterate my information again. The website, which is continue.miami.edu/paralegal. And then we also have a small survey at the end. Make sure that you guys take your chance, take a little bit of time to be able to do that as well. And with that said, we would like to open it up for questions. So I do see that we have some questions here. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. Let me read it to you, Tammy. The first one is.
Yes, I can see them.
Okay,
so
the concentration.
The question about the concentration in terms of what they consist of, we do have program summaries and program objectives that JC can share with you. So if you have any specific questions about the different concentrations, he can provide that information to you, which is a very detailed description of the program and those finish line proficiencies that you'll be able to demonstrate.
And for you guys to know, if I don't have the answer, Tammy knows that I will reach out to her and she will definitely find me the answer for your questions as well. So yes, please reach out to us. We'll be definitely be able to answer your questions. So the second one was immigration. And then I'm really interested in the program. Thank you, Sarah. And all right, perfect. Thank you. You're welcome, Barbara. Any other question? Anything else that you guys might like to know?
So I'm gonna just place the immigration description in the chat, so it's gonna be long, but that way you can see what it looks like as just an example. So I just posted as a reply, I posted, actually I'm gonna put it over here as well. This is it's too big, I think. Hang on. It's kind of long.
Well, my email is here. Definitely get in contact with me. If anything, Tammy will send it to me and I will forward that to you.
Hopefully, so. I just posted it as a reply to Barbara's question. So I'm hoping that that she can see it. And then I can read it to you as well. Immigration law encompasses rules from the federal government pertaining to who is permitted to enter the United States, including during.
Barbara says that she sees it. I guess you got
it. Okay, awesome. I'm sure you don't want to listen to me read it. So,
and Wendy, nice meeting you as well, by the way. Yes, I talked to a lot of you guys, but we never see each other.
Post the objectives so that you can see those as well. Those are the finish line proficiencies for immigration.
There's another question by Isabel. She says, in the self-paced format, do we get tutoring if questions come up? What's the evaluation like at the end of the course?
Yes, you are not on your own. you have you have those amazing instructors that we shared with you. Those instructors are your instructors as well for self-paced. They do all of the grading and they answer all of your questions. So 100% you're supported throughout your learning journey.
In fact, the professor for the October 17th start, he's a judge. So yeah, he's very knowledgeable.
Yeah, and they've been teaching in our program there's no new instructors. Every single one of our instructors has been with our program for 5+ years, and some of them over a decade.
Yeah. Good questions, guys.
Yeah, they're great questions.
Do the
Thank you for
concentration
asking.
swap out instructors like the paralegal course?
Say that again.
Do the concentration swap out instructors like the paralegal course?
No,
I think it's only
there's
one.
one instructor in each concentration.
Right. Let's say if you miss a day virtual class, are we able to make up any other day?
Yes, you can. Well, not live, but the recordings are live. So that's all you would have missed would have been the live lecture, and they're all posted in the announcements for you to be able to go back and listen to the Zoom recording.
And guys, main thing is to have a good communication with your professor. With just let them know if you're going to. It's like being in a regular class. If you're going to be out, it happens. I mean, sometimes you're going to miss the class for whatever reason, especially the ones taking the live session. Just let the professor know. And yes, all of this will be recorded. You will have access to it as well.
And we get that life happens. So it's just really what you prefer. Some prefer to be able to just log in and do whatever, whenever, and they want to work at 1 o'clock in the morning. And some prefer to be in a classroom setting and just literally sit there at a certain date and a certain time and participate in the lectures. So it's just whatever fits best for you and whatever will help you with.
That's the answer right there.
Yes.
I get that question asked a lot of times. Oh, JC, so which one's better? So it's not about which one's better because pretty much everything's the same except the modality.
Same. So don't feel you're missing out at all. Like if you pick self-paced, you're not missing out. You're getting the same material, same PowerPoint,
same curriculum.
It's the same curriculum, same assignments, same supervising attorney process, same study support, same everything. It's really what works for you and what exactly best aligns with your learning style.
And what I wanted to say is exactly that. I get a lot of people that might tell me, listen, you know what, JC, I can't do self-paced because I know myself and I will procrastinate and I'm not going to do it. So, for somebody like that, it's better to do the live session. And then I have other people telling me all the time, listen, on those days, I cannot be sitting down in front of a computer because at 6, I'm busy at home doing this. I need to do it later on. And so obviously that is the self-paced. So it's more about what's the best thing for you guys. We just offer both options. Again, everything else is exactly the same.
And honestly, I always encourage my students, like if they take the self-paced, I always encourage you from a time management standpoint to block a specific date and time for yourself, just for you.
That's a great advice,
yes. That this is when I am, quote, going to class, because sometimes it's really easy to be like, okay, later, and then later doesn't come and then you're overwhelmed. So I always encourage you, if you pick self-paced, to give yourself those blocks of time just for time management and scheduling to ensure that you have that time to go to class.
Yes, we have a new question for Barbara, and the answer will be yes. I mean, if it says flexible, does that mean self-paced? It does. Basically, that's what we mean by flexible, is that flexible around your time.
So somebody just asked what the evaluation is like at the end of the course. Do you mean what is the exam like, or do you mean how do you provide feedback for the program? I want to make sure I answer your question correctly.
Isabel, this is for you.
Oh, okay. So there actually is no final exam. You have 2 tests in foundations for foundation 1 and foundation 2, and 1 test for each of the law blocks. They're very much chapter based. They're very similar to the practice questions you're going to see. And as I mentioned, they're not intended to trick you. It's not like complex questions with like 15 answers. It's just intended to make sure that you're reading and learning the material. So there's no comprehensive final exam for the
Correct.
program.
There's no cumulative exam or anything like that. Each module is very individualized,
Yes.
and you need a 70% or higher in order for you to be able to pass each module. You switch from the virtual class, which is, I'm guessing, from the live online to the
you
self-paced? The
can't.
answer is no.
You gotta pick.
Yeah, you got to pick ahead of time which of the two is the one that's going to work. Usually when people are doubtful about which one, they end up doing the self-paced, which gives you way more flexibility.
Yeah. So those are amazing questions, and I'm really glad you're asking them, because it shows that you're really listening and making intentional decisions. And honestly, that's a really good recipe for a successful student. So those are serious.
That's what we're here for. So thank you for asking all of that.
Thought-provoking, questions to help set you up for success. And sometimes that's the right fit. And for me, like, I want to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and log on and do something if I need to. So I'm a list maker and I'm a scheduler personally. So for me, like, yeah. So, I mean, you got to do and you know what, you better than you. So I always tell everybody, you do you, and you pick what's best for you. And because no one knows better than you.
Absolutely.
So those are awesome questions, and I'm not seeing any more. Know that we don't leave you after this information session. JC is there to support you through your academic journey. The team is committed to your success. We want everybody to be successful. It's part of why this program has a stellar reputation, and we care about the program, the quality, the students, the finish line, the reputation. It all matters. So thank you all for your time, for your interest, for your thought-provoking questions, and honestly, for picking a great profession to learn about, because it really is, I wouldn't have it any other way. So have a great evening, everybody. And thank you again for everything.
Thank you, Tammy.
If you log out and think of a question, reach out to JC, because he's always available to you.
By this time, hopefully you'll memorize already my phone number and email that I left there purposely. So yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions. Again, Tammy, thank you very much. Thank you to all the participants. Thank you to Sydney behind the scenes. And I am looking forward to hearing from all of you guys. Again, if you want a copy of this, we'll definitely have that available as well. And thank you so much and congratulations. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you again. All right, guys.
Bye, everyone.